Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. Just a quick one. This is a two-part series video. Today's part is going to be covering all the stuff I'm about to mention, and the second part will be coming out in a week's time after you've had a chance to have a think about what I've covered here. And it's going to be pretty hard-hitting, pretty serious stuff, and it's going to be all based through facts and evidence. So get strapped in, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. Welcome to the episode. G'day guys, welcome back to another video. So in our last video, we had quite a few skeptics in relation to artificial intelligence, general intelligence, super intelligence. And what I'd like to do is just put all of your naysaying stuff to bed finally, okay? Guys, behind me, as you can see, generative AI is the new strategic battleground. Okay, so you've already got procedural generation in gaming, right? No Man's Sky, for example, is just one simple example. Star Citizen, which we'll be talking about a lot more in future videos moving forward, because that's going to be the next subject matter I focus on with its development again after about a 4-year hiatus. So that's going to be some interesting content. Guys, generative AI is based on ChatGPT, and it is being implemented into things like this.
Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So, based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Great. Can you put them there?
Of course.
All right. So, how do you think you did?
I think I did pretty well. The apple found its new owner, the trash is gone, and the tableware is right where it belongs.
I agree. Thanks, Figure One.
You're welcome. If there's anything else you need help with, just let me know.
So yeah, AGI is here, which is artificial general intelligence. There is no questioning that at this stage. The ChatGPT 5 model that's coming out soon is going to be truly respective to what you're saying. So if you ask it a question, it will give you an answer which is logical, personalized, humanized, and treat you in a way in which another human would most probably treat you in a generalized environment. And this is general AI, so it kind of makes sense. So guys, look, let's just get straight into the video, because there's a lot to talk about.
So, AI in artwork is pretty controversial, but AI in video games? Well, I hate to tell you guys, but it's already deeply ingrained in the AAA studios, and getting more and more common. Jobs that used to take entire teams of game devs could soon be replaced entirely by an intern who knows how to use the generative AI of the week. And don't take that from me, EA's CEO is of the opinion that about 60% of game development will be impacted by AI in the next few years. Yeah, 60%. Seems like a lot more layoffs are coming to the video game industry soon enough. So let's talk about what the CEO of EA said. Now I know EA doesn't have the best reputation with gamers, but it's important to follow what the important people at the big AAA studios say about these kinds of things, because it will eventually spread to other companies and eventually affect the entire industry. Generative AI is incredibly disruptive, and the CEOs of all the big companies love it because they can see how much easy cash they can save replacing people with it. I know a lot of you guys guys are gonna have the opinion that the real problem of it is whether or not the people whose data was used to train the AI, whether that's artwork, books, articles, or even just comments online, was collected ethically and with permission or not. And that's a valid concern, but the people who are in charge, they don't care and won't until it has some financial ramifications for them. And if it ends up having some, they'll just make their own models with their own training data they got in a way that is in line with whatever the law becomes. So basically, there's no way to stop this. It's coming no matter what, which is ironic because I think if you asked anyone 15 years ago, they'd say that the artistic industries would be the last to be impacted by AI, not the first. Anyway, the EA CEO, Andrew Wilson, gave a Q&A at the Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference to talk about generative AI and the impact and benefits that it'll have on the industry. GameDeveloper.com is reporting that when asked a question about how generative AI might impact or transform game businesses, the EA CEO responded that they've been using machine learning AI to refine their gameplay for a while, specifically how players run in the Madden games. But what he's really hopeful about is generative AI, that it is the most exciting form of the AI industry and can help with efficiency, expansion, and transformation. He's then quoted as saying, "The thing about efficiency, this is really about how do we make what we do more efficient. And for anyone who knows about our business, it's an incredibly iterative development cycle and incredibly time consuming, which is why games are now taking 6 or 7 years to build. And we've done a study across all of the processes of game development. About 60% of all of our processes have high feasibility to be possibly impacted by generative AI. Now, an example of that might be how we build a stadium in one of our sports games. That would typically take us 6 months. This past year, it took us 6 weeks. It's not unnatural for us to believe that in the coming years, it will take us 6 days. If you want to just roll that out across every aspect of development, we think there's meaningful efficiency we can drive. We don't have the map on it yet. I would tell you in the back of my mind, my orientation is, how can we use generative AI to make us 30% more efficient as a company? How in 3 years from today could we be 30% more efficient? The scary part is that he's probably not wrong. His estimates might seem a bit high, but he says they've done a study that shows 60% of their processes can be impacted by generative AI, and it could make companies 30% more efficient in the future. The fact of the matter is that those are probably conservative estimates. The more and more AI becomes accessible, the more tools allowing people to do more complicated tasks will pop up. I mean, why employ a team of game devs that rig 3D models when you can use an AI to rig the models and just pay one dude to fix any mistakes made by the AI? Over time, even that becomes easier because as you continue to train your AI using the changes that the human makes, eventually it'll stop making as many mistakes. That's just one tiny part of game development. But just like that, it's easy to see how tons of game devs could be laid off in the coming years. You can make similar arguments for most teams at these big studios. Anything that can be automated by AI, they just don't need the teams once the tech becomes available. Only a person or two to fix any mistakes. It's going to be very bad for game devs, but not all bad, obviously. It's not what most people in the games industry want to do, but it will probably massively increase the amount of people and teams needed for managing generative AI and training the models. So the jobs won't go away necessarily, just become less creative. Is there that big of a difference between training your AI to rig models by making and feeding models into its training data and actually making rigged models for the finished game? Depends on your outlook. If you're into the industry because you want to be artistic and express yourself, then no, you would hate doing that. But if you're just there to collect a paycheck, it just makes your day easier and takes away a lot of the stakes. For the artistic people, the upside is that as this tech becomes easier for the big companies, it will become easier for the average person to use. So while the corporate jobs will probably be harder to get, it will probably become much easier to make your own indie game using the same AI tools that the companies are using to make up for gaps in your own personal skill set.
Okay, as he just said, the big developers think this is going to help make them more money. No. That's just blind psychotic stupidity and retardation, whatever you want to call it, because that is such a narrow-minded perspective on what AI is about to actually become for all of us. This guy, which I'll link his video in the description below as well, and his YouTube channel, a small creator like myself, but has his finger on the pulse with this for the artistic development side, the creative side, the imaginative side of game development, yeah? And the thing is, this is going to backfire on EA and Ubisoft and all of the developers soon enough. And yes, indie development games are going to be the new standard. Unreal Engine 6 will come out, and we're going to have super realistic everything. And it's going to take an indie developer no more than 3 months at a time to make an actually spectacular game better than any AAA developer studio could. So in one respect, we are going to see the death of the AAA gaming industry. That's it. Its time is running out. Its own ignorant stupidity and lack of foresight, led by complete psychopaths, megalomaniacs, and sociopaths. Just look at all the CEOs of current AAA development companies and tell me I'm wrong. We are going to have that fall over on its face. There are going to be millions and millions of IT people out of work. There already are, but in the gaming industry specifically. The artistic development side will no longer exist, and I think that's where he is being optimistic in his video, but not very realistic. Okay, we've already got generative AI doing some crazy crap with typing a few letters into a box on a website, generating you high-res 4K images or 8K images now that are pretty much close to what you're asking for. So I've got a very deep concern that although his optimism is great, it's not also very in line with what's probably going to happen. The reality of all of this, guys, is one, devs lose their jobs. Artistic people worldwide, they have not got any chance of having a career. The homogenization of game development into individuals' hands sounds a great way of democratizing entertainment and gaming, but it's also stopping a standard of any kind being needed to be achieved for industry. AAA gaming, up until recently, had set a bar that was the expected standard. Now, they have massively dropped below that standard themselves. Indie developers are coming in and trying to say, look at me, look at me, look at the game I made. But it's a lot of the time slapped together and has no real foresight. Power World, great, fun, entertaining for the first 20 levels. What do I do after this? Do I just keep grinding and grinding and grinding and then what, get online with my friends, have them come to my server, then grind up to catch up to me at max level to then go do the towers? And then what after that if we actually get through all the towers? People have, power's great in every respect of what it is for what it is. But because there is no lead on that developer's project, they kind of ran out of ideas pretty damn quick, right? Now, can you trust AI to generate enough information or concepts or single player or lore or backstory or more generative graphical stuff moving forward? We are in an impasse where indie developers, it's great. There's democratization of game development now with Unreal Engine 5. Thank you, Unreal Engine 5. But we need to have a set of standards put in place for indie developers to have to be able to sell their game on Steam, Epic, or any other platform. Because if we let the generalized standard drop below what is required for true entertainment and not just money grabs, not cash grabs by indies who'll make a game, make $1 million and then disappear out of the industry, that's going to gut what is left of the gaming world as well. And this is the frightening reality that no one's discussing, no one's talking about, no one's actually looking into, where indies, yes, great, fantastic, good to see democratization of gaming and some great games coming out from some indies. But the more developments that are happening with AI as we speak are further diluting that talent pool. We are now going to be moving into a period where a lot of these indies will just type some stuff into a generative AI platform and it'll write the game for them eventually.
So Cognition Labs just drops this. Devin, the first AI software engineer.
Hey, I'm Scott from Cognition AI, and today I'm really excited to introduce you to Devin, the first AI software engineer. Let me show you an example of Devin in action. I'm going to ask Devin to benchmark the performance of Llama on a couple different API providers. From now on, Devin is in the driver's seat. First, Devin makes a step-by-step plan of how to tackle the problem. After that, it builds the whole project using all the same tools that a human software engineer would use. Devin has its own command line, its own code editor, and even its own browser. In this case, Devin decides to use the browser to pull up API documentation so that it can read up and learn how to plug into each of these APIs. Here, Devin runs into an unexpected error. Devin actually decides to add a debugging print statement. Reruns the code with the debugging print statement, and then uses the error in the logs to figure out how to fix the bug. Finally, Devin decides to build and deploy a website with full styling as the visualization. You can see the website here. All of this is possible today because of the advancements that we've made in both reasoning and long-term planning. It's a really hard problem, and we've only just started, but we're super excited about the progress that we've made so far. In the meantime, if you'd like to try out Devin on your own real-world tasks, send us a request below, and we'd be happy to forward it to Devin.
Then we've got superintelligence coming in, right? Artificial superintelligence, ASI, in the next coming years. Do you think those game developers are going to have a job even then? The indies? The entire homogenization of gaming will be so two-dimensional, cut and paste, because that's how AI works. It takes from existing information and reapplies it elsewhere. It doesn't create, it reproduces outcomes. Now, a super AI is meant to be a crap ton smarter and faster and better and smarter than any human's ever been, right? Like dramatically. But it's not going to feel. It's not going to comprehend what imagination is, what true creativity is. It's going to know stuff, but it's not going to truly be imaginative and creative and human. This is the impasse we're at, guys. Anyway, on to the next part of the video.
Another day, another dumb take from an executive. So, you know how gamers are clamoring for the coexistence between physical and digital mediums? Because people like the idea of having something physical that represents some semblance of ownership over the products that they buy. Whereas if you were to go to a strictly digital future, you would essentially encounter situations where a storefront or service might shut down, or a company just decides out of the blue that they don't want to host certain games and products, and you'd lose access to them despite the fact that you paid for them. Well, here we have an executive who's a huge fan of subscriptions, who put the idea out there that people should maybe get comfortable with not owning their games. The following information comes from news outlet gamesindustry.biz. They interviewed this individual, Philip Tremblay, director of subscriptions at Ubisoft, where he discussed the possibility and notion of gamers getting comfortable with not owning their games. So this was all about, the future of subscriptions and the role that subscriptions will play in gaming, and whether it can gain a certain level of prominence where it can take over, your traditional means of attaining games, whether it's digital or physical purchases. Or as Games Industry put it, the question remains around the potential of the subscription model in games. What is it going to take for subscription to step up and become a more significant proportion of the industry? Here is what Tremblay had to say.
All right, guys, so we're going to save this part of the video, or this 2 videos I'm doing on this, for the next video, because this is where we start talking about OpenAI, we start talking about Waldo Vision, AnyBrain, we start talking about subscription services from Microsoft, EA, Blizzard, Ubisoft, CD Projekt Red, and every single other business out there that does anything in relation to gaming. And IT, Office 365, Adobe, just saying. Especially for their bloody editing software. And on my phone even, I had an Acrobat Reader try to charge me $11.99 for a month just to read a PDF I downloaded for stuff. What? So, guys, this is happening so much more quickly than any of you have any concept of at this stage. Yes, nervous laugh. Not good. This is scary. Really freaking scary. So guys, look, I'm gonna just tell you right now, where we're at right now is the cliff. The cliff towards success or failure of everything IT related where humans are involved. I'll leave it there. I'll give you guys a week to think about this. and we'll come back in the next video and pick up this specific conversation moving forward into more of a dystopian reality that we're all headed towards that nobody wants to accept yet. All right, guys, so let's just hit the ground running. Long story short, AGI is here. That's it. ASI, which is artificial superintelligence, is coming in about 2 years into a lab near you, which means they're going to be testing beyond human intelligence and comprehension, including Einstein. Yeah? We're not mucking around anymore. The acceleratory path of AI has got so goddamn breakneck speed fast that no one is prepared for it. And you've got the likes of Google, you've got the likes of Microsoft, and the likes of so many other major tech moguls and companies, i.e. Jeff Bezos, who are wanting to drive this so hard and so fast because they want to eliminate all human elements, error in their systems to maximize profit.